You actually captured photos when the towers were going down. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I'd just come back from China literally the night before. I got home, put my cameras in the corner, went to sleep, woke up the next morning. My building was very close to the World Trade Center. So I went down to my office and we got a phone call and somebody said, "Oh, the World Trade Center is on fire." So there had been a fire there 20 years before, or maybe 10 years before, and I hadn't gone down, even though I was in New York. So I thought, okay, now I got to go down. Actually, both towers were on fire. So I sort of let me go on the roof of the building and photograph them from this high vantage point from my apartment building. So I'm shooting away, and I keep shooting. And I felt, okay, well, now it's time to go down and photograph. And then lo and behold, as I'm actually looking through one of the towers collapses, and I thought that's impossible. This is like a dream. This is, and I looked. No, I'm not asleep. This actually happened. And so then I kind of went on automatic pilot. I I thought, well, if the first tower collapsed, probably the second tower will collapse. So I got another lens, and as this other next tower was collapsing, I photographed it as it was going down. And then I thought, okay, now we myself and my assistant, we have to go down right now. We have to go. So the roads were all blocked off, but we were able to figure out a way to get around the roadblocks, and we got right down to ground zero. And there was a lot of hostility against photographers, but I just thought, this is such a historic day, and I was like completely freaked out that suddenly, like almost in my neighborhood, there was this attack, and it looked, when I was down there at ground zero, it looked as though the entire lower Manhattan was gone, the way it looked, and I thought, this is life changing. I mean, this is going to change. I mean, now the city is, this is irreparable, and this is like Pearl Harbor. This is like some, and I just stayed the entire day down there, and the next morning got up, and there were all these doctors and ambulances and everybody standing by to help the wounded. No wounded, no bodies. It was just smoldering steel and all this dust in the air. And so I did what I could, and then went home and got up the next morning at 3 a.m. and went back again and kept photographing. And then they kicked all the photographers out. We had to leave, but it was so traumatic. I mean, it was something which my brain couldn't process.
Yeah.
It was so overwhelming that it was just, my brain would like exploded, because it was just something I couldn't believe that it just happened in New York. Just, I mean, every time one would drive into the city, that was part of the skyline, those two twin towers, and now they were gone. And it was like, it's just impossible that just happened. It can't have happened, but it did. And so for weeks after that, the smoke from ground zero would kind of waft up into my building, and you could smell the smoke in the neighborhood. It was just, and then every time you drove into the city, that skyline was forever changed. So it was probably the most powerful moment in my photographic career to actually witness that. And I, as when I was going to go down there in the beginning, I thought to myself, if I had gone down there earlier, like an hour earlier or half an hour earlier, I very likely could have been right there underneath the towers as they came down. I could have been, crushed, because I wanted to go down. I thought, now I got to go down, but so.
It must have been so hard because that's your town as well.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, devastating regardless, but that's where you live.
Yeah, the planes went right down the Hudson River, and my apartment was, it's just a couple thousand meters from there. It's just, if they had gone a little bit this way or that way, they would have flown right next to my building. So it was like, wait a minute, this is like an attack on my home, on my
Mm.
neighborhood, on my city, and so it was like really personal in that sense.
There's this photo that I saw from 9/11 that you took that was, it's like the rubble is huge, and there's this huge, just like, I mean, mountain doesn't even do it justice, but it was like a mountain of like debris. And then I think it was like a firefighter or something kind of standing on
Oh yeah,
top of it. And you just can't imagine that that would happen. I mean, when you look back at those photos, is there one that sticks out to you?
I think that's the one that I think is the most powerful. It was the next morning, and the sunlight's coming in the city through this smoke. It's kind of red in some areas, and all this smoke, and these little teeny figures of men that are so insignificant compared to this overwhelming the debris, that it's just this sort of epic kind of end of the world sort of cataclysmic kind of scenario, which it's like we're so helpless to kind of in this overwhelming scene. That to me was and again, it just seemed like the entire part of the city was gone, and turned out it was just that block, but we weren't thinking straight, and we couldn't see, and through all this smoke, it just looked like everything was gone.
Wow.